to another edition of the Disrupting Company Profiles. Today we're going to feature Faraday Future. We know about this company, we've heard about its turbulent past. It's been a rocky road to date, but they're still here and we're about a month away from their SPAC merger. Alex, you've covered this in the past. We know that it's not a new company, but is the future promising here? Where do we start with this?
Well, when the announcement was for PSAC to take Faraday Future public, just like myself and many others, you kind of looked at it and be like, ooh, kind of red flag. I don't want to be involved in what has happened in the past because of the financial issues. It's not something that really attractive for investors. I think that hesitation is still there for a lot of uneducated investors and people that are really hesitant to see how everything is lined up. But when you look at the company now, the restructuring, the new CEO, the new leadership, the founder is still involved, but he's kind of like a supervisory role. I don't have a problem with that in any shape or form.
I believe it's Chief Product and User Experience Officer, which makes sense. He has that tech background. I think a lot of the hype was based on here's this Chinese billionaire that's been wildly successful with a platform he created that was basically like Netflix before Netflix. So a good track record and more reason why everyone was excited. But then things went a little south.
Yeah. And so they built up they were starting to build a factory back in 2016, and everything got to be halted because of things that happened with turbulence, with financial issues. But that's in the past. Things have changed between the time of 2016 to now. They have obviously built out their R&D building that they have in Los Angeles. They actually just recently contracted a brand new 1 million square foot factory that that's a former Pirelli tire factory in Hanover, California, and they're slowly building it out to be operational by the end of this year and be ready for their start of mass production in 2022, summer of 2022.
And so
exciting things.
But we know they have a production ready car, right? It's like 90% there. It's just a matter of, hey, we've got to order these components so that we can start producing cars, right?
Well, it's just they were affected by the semiconductor shortage, just like everyone else has, from Lucid to Tesla to Ford, you name it. But when it comes down to it overall, is they need to have a factory to support these mass production. So I'm really happy that they don't have to start from ground up. The Pirelli factory is well built out, but they just need to put the technology, the robotics to put in for the assembly lines, and it'll work out. I think that it just takes some time to build out, and they're going to utilize the SPAC to finance that build out. But when the factory, the facilities, that'll all come. But I really, at the end of it all, that made me feel a little bit better. But looking at the vehicle, it made me a little bit more excited about Faraday Future's future.
Well, I think too, it's important to note that their new CEO, Karsten Breitfeld, he's not new to this. That he comes from I think 20 plus years with BMW. He was a critical figure with their i8 program. So he has EV experience. And if you figure where Faraday's at, it's a critical juncture, right? They have this amazing vehicle with an incredible technical spec. It's a product very much of IoT, the Internet of Things, or an ecosystem of technology, all interconnected. But the thing that's exciting about Karsten that gives me hope is that he's already been down this road. And I think for me, it's all about execution at this point. So you've touched on that they've got this new facility. They're building out, their internal capabilities. But it seems like infrastructure is coming together. And so, there's a glimmer of hope for a company that's got a rocky path. We know that you can't YouTube Faraday without finding, a CES incident where they were unable to get the vehicle to autonomously go down the stage.
And press the button and it will find its way to the garage. Whoa. What? Ooh. Okay, it seems like it's a little bit lazy tonight, so...
But, we also saw the same thing happen with Tesla, right? With the cracking of the windshield. So, people can be skeptical, but they also have to be mindful that this is a startup. These guys aren't just, they're reinventing the wheel in a lot of regards. And so you have to come to expect, these little things, these little nicks and crannies along the way, right? If it were so easy, we'd have a lot more EV companies out there, right?
It's very true. But when it comes to me looking at to a potential EV company to invest into, there's certain categories that you have to, well, number one, check off. And the technology for the vehicle is checked off across the whole board. They're innovative in every certain way, from the door opening to the technology to how it really just involves your phone. It's basically an extension of your phone to that, but it's pure luxury. It's worth the value of it. It's going to be between 150,000, 160,000 to all the way up to $220,000. And when you look at the vehicle, it's worth the price. But technology, yes, it needs to be innovative. It clearly hits that. The leadership has to have the experience. I like the brand new CEO. I think that checks the mark off. It kind of exactly what you need. You need someone that's been there, done that, and that can help bring this team
Well,
forward.
it all starts at the top, right?
Oh, no question. Like, if you don't trust the leadership, you're not going to invest into the company. You're not going to trust anything that he or she says. So bringing in the new CEO, I love that. And the next one is vertical integration. Vertical integration is the way to be a very successful company. I don't care what anyone says, from saying, well, you can use Magna, you can use this, you can use that. The revenue margin is going to be so minute that the company is not going to be able to grow substantially overall. And in order to really leave your footprint and be your own self-sustainable company, you have to have that ability to mass produce on your own. I understand that it's good. It's going to help you down the road to start with a third-party OEM, but it's not going to cut it when it comes to revenue margin. And when you are starting like Lucid to Tesla and many other EV companies, the most successful ones are vertically integrated. And having this factory that they're building out is going to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think you're also speaking to just quality control. That, like, if you want things done right, you have to really have your hands on everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that sourcing materials for these EV companies has always been a hurdle. So that's one thing I'd like to learn more about, how they're going to solve for that. The other thing for me, as I'll be the first to admit, kind of a skeptical investor. I'm in the mindset right now where I'll believe it when I see it. But I think, how do you communicate that we're moving beyond the past? How do you communicate that, yes, while it was turbulent and Jai, their original founder, to his credit, he laid out the foundation for a great vision, right? The vision is solid, the technology's there. But how do we get beyond that and convince people, turn those skeptics into believers? What's your first thought there on restoring that? I mean, there's certain milestones ahead, but what do you think that entails?
It's gonna be the one thing that I've been saying to everybody. It's when you get to mass production.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring in a lot of massive investors, and there's going to be some opportunities to add out below NAV. Like right now, it's currently trading between $13 and $14, which it's somewhat of a premium because there's going to be dilution because they're going to be taking some of that finances to be able to pay for these certain expansions.
Yep.
But to make these investors, to prove it to those that are doubting them, they need to hit and execute. Execute is the biggest thing. Be able to hit the mass production. Make sure to have the safety. Even before then, make sure the safety protocol is good. Make sure the company is solid with financials, everything. But down the line, the end all be all for people, all the mass capital funds to even retail investors, it's going to come down to mass production, the start of it. Once it's officially started, everything in the past doesn't matter. It's about moving forward from the FF91 to many other models. That's it. In my mind, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I guess, we can only hope in the coming month leading up to merger is that they effectively communicate, expectations, because they cannot afford to, quite frankly, fall short. And I think the more transparent of your hurdles and of course aligning those with solutions, you'll be able to retain any hope or support that you have with retail investors. So, Alex, what's the ticker and the SPAC that's supporting this?
Ticker is PSAC. I forget the name off the top of my head, but PSAC.
Yep.
It's gonna be closing next month. A lot of tickers are closing next month, so it's gonna be an active month. But it's right after that. It depends on the reaction. I could see it going sideways for a little bit, but it's a healthy company. It's a healthy stock. I think that it may pull back to kind of what Fisker did, and it's going to go sideways until they hit the catalyst, the execution marks from what they said. But it is what it is. This is a very long-term investment. This isn't a swing trade. This is a day trade. You're not going to see any really massive movement on it because, like I said, a lot of investors are going to be waiting for that catalyst to show, hey, we have hit mass production. We'll move forward.
Yep.
And also, I could see they need to solidify supply for the semiconductors, just like everybody else is doing.
Yeah. So it's Property Solutions acquisition. I just looked it up. Trading today at 1272. So about 27% above NAV. Yeah, I think everything obviously remains to be seen. The exciting thing for our audience is that we've been able to obtain an exclusive opportunity to go to California to ride in the FF91, which I quite frankly cannot wait to sit in the back seat, luxuriate. And of course, we're going to do a comprehensive follow-up and a video review of our experience. And then, of course, an interview with Karsten himself. So a lot to come. And hopefully we'll be able to dive a little bit deeper and share not only this experience, but hopefully some excitement around what's to come and anything to expect here in the next 30 days, right?
Yeah, and in the same manner, this is not just these questions are not gonna be generated not just by us, but also you, the followers. So any comments or questions that you have for us with the CEO or engineers, because it's not just gonna be the CEO, it's gonna be a couple of engineers. Any kind of concerns or questions that you have from the leader to the engineers, technology, you name it, ask. We'll be able to convey it to them. Because again, we want to be your voice to be able to have these type of exclusive interviews. So we appreciate it, and make sure to leave a like, comment any questions that you guys do have, like I said, and we'll see you guys in the next video.